The alarms blared across the New Dawn colony as the first Vorzek ships appeared in the sky. Their dark, spiny vessels blocked out the light from Proxima Centauri, casting long shadows over the settlement. Governor Richard Hayes stared at the tactical display with growing horror. This was supposed to be a peaceful research mission, far from the politics of Earth. Now they faced extinction. "How many ships?" he asked, his voice steady despite his fear. Security Chief Melissa Clark zoomed in the display. 7 warships, sir. Heavily armed. They're deploying ground vessels. Hayes nodded and turned to the communications desk. "Send the distress signal. All channels." Frank Martinez, a young communications specialist with just 2 years of experience, worked frantically at his console. His fingers flew across the controls as he broadcast their plea for help. "This is New Dawn Colony at Proxima Centauri. We are under attack by unknown alien forces. Request immediate military assistance. Repeat, we are under attack." The message went out, racing through space at light speed. It would take 4.2 years to reach Earth, but it was their only hope. Outside, the first Vorzek landing craft touched down just beyond the colony's perimeter. Strange, insect-like soldiers emerged, carrying weapons unlike anything the humans had seen before. "Governor, we need to evacuate the science labs," said Melissa, "if they get hold of our research." An explosion rocked the command center, sending dust and debris raining down on them. The main doors buckled as something powerful slammed against them. "They're inside the perimeter. How did they move so fast?" Hayes shouted over the noise of battle. Martinez kept sending the distress signal, adding more information with each passing minute. Enemy forces breaching colony defenses, heavily armed. Insectoid appearance. The colony's small security force fought bravely, but they were researchers and scientists, not soldiers. The Vorzek moved with terrifying speed and purpose, overwhelming each defense point. "Sir, they're targeting the communication array," Martinez called out, pointing to the display showing Vorzek troops converging on the huge dish outside the colony. Hayes looked at the young specialist. "Frank, go to the backup system. Send everything you can." Martinez nodded and ran from the command center toward the small, hidden communication bunker built into the side of a hill. It was their emergency system, designed to be overlooked. He reached the bunker just as the main array exploded in a ball of flame. Inside, he quickly powered up the backup transmitter. It was weaker, with less range, but it was encrypted and harder to detect. With shaking hands, he composed a final message. "Vorzek forces overwhelming New Dawn colony. Main communications destroyed. Population approximately 300 civilians. Minimal defenses. Please send help." He added all the data they had collected on the Vorzek ships and weaponry, then sent the message into the void, hoping someone would hear it someday. The door to the bunker crashed open. Martinez turned to see 3 Vorzek soldiers, their compound eyes gleaming and mandibles clicking. He had just enough time to activate the emergency delete protocol before they seized him. Back in the command center, Governor Hayes and Security Chief Clark were brought before a tall Vorzek wearing ornate armor. Unlike the others, this one had red markings across its carapace. "I am Commander Jetkra," the alien said, its voice translated through a device on its armor. "Your world belongs to the Vorzek Imperium now." Hayes stood tall despite his injuries. "Earth will not allow this. Help will come." Jetkra made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your distress signals have been destroyed. No one knows you are here. No one will come for you." The commander moved closer, its breath foul against Hayes' face. "And even if your Earth learned of your fate, what could they do? We are too powerful, and you are too far away. You are alone, human." As the Vorzek troops began rounding up the colonists, Hayes looked to the sky one last time. The nearest help was over 4 light-years away. He wondered if anyone would ever know what happened to them. 4 years and 3 months later, a small light blinked on a console deep within Earth Military Command. The signal was weak, degraded by distance and time, but the encryption was unmistakably human. A technician named Alan Foster noticed it during his night shift. He adjusted the settings, trying to clean up the message. "Sir," he called to his supervisor, "I'm picking up a distress call from Proxima Centauri." Within an hour, the message reached Admiral Susan Boyd's desk. She was a tall woman with gray-streaked hair and eyes that had seen too much war. As commander of Earth's 7th Fleet, known across the stars as the Reapers, she had earned both respect and fear. Boyd read the message twice, her face growing darker with each line. The New Dawn colony was not officially sanctioned. A group of scientists and their families had gone rogue, seeking freedom to conduct their research away from Earth regulations. The government had turned a blind eye, not wanting to waste resources bringing them back. Now they were paying the price for their independence. "Get me a direct line to the Joint Chiefs," Boyd ordered her aide, "and prepare my shuttle for immediate departure to Washington." 2 hours later, Admiral Boyd stood before 5 stern-faced military leaders in a secure room beneath the Pentagon. The air was tense as she presented the distress call. "The colony is illegal," said General William Porter, the oldest of the group. "They knew the risks when they left." "There still are people," Boyd countered. "And this is the first confirmed contact with the Vorzek. Intelligence suggests they've conquered 3 other species in the past century." Admiral Jane Russell, head of fleet operations, leaned forward. "What exactly are you proposing, Susan?" "I want to take the 7th Fleet to Proxima Centauri. Show these Vorzek that humans protect their own." The room fell silent. Earth had become a formidable military power since first contact 50 years ago, but they had maintained a policy of isolation. They defended their territory fiercely but avoided entanglements beyond their solar system. "That's a significant change in policy," said General Porter, "for a handful of colonists who broke the law." Boyd's eyes flashed. 300 colonists. And yes, they broke the law, but they don't deserve extinction for it. Besides, if we let the Vorzek take Proxima Centauri without a fight, what message does that send to other potential aggressors? The debate continued for hours. Eventually, Admiral Russell sided with Boyd, tipping the balance. "You have authorization," said General Porter finally, "but limited resources. The 7th Fleet only." Boyd nodded, hiding her satisfaction. The 7th was all she needed. Back at Fleet headquarters, Boyd assembled her command team. Lieutenant Commander Peter Walsh, a man whose tactical genius was matched only by his troubled past, would serve as mission strategist. Chief Medical Officer Olivia Morris would prepare for casualties and potential rescue operations. Captain Steve Nichols would command ground forces if needed. "The intel on the Vorzek is limited," Boyd told them, displaying what little they knew on the main screen. "Insectoid, hierarchical society, technologically advanced. They've never encountered humans in combat." "They're in for a surprise then," said Walsh with a grim smile. "We'll be using the new FTL drives," Boyd continued. "That cuts our travel time to 3 weeks instead of years. We have 15 warships at our disposal." "What about the colonists?" asked Dr. Morris. "It's been over 4 years since that message was sent." Boyd's face hardened. "We have to assume some are still alive. And even if they're not, we're going to make damn sure the Vorzek pay for what they've done." Outside the window of the briefing room, the massive form of the EFS Retribution hung in orbit, its hull gleaming in the sunlight. The flagship of the 7th Fleet was the most advanced warship ever built by human hands, capable of destroying a small moon. As the meeting ended, Boyd looked out at her ship. She had never led the fleet this far from home before. But she knew one thing with absolute certainty. The Vorzek had made a terrible mistake when they attacked humans. And soon, they would know it too. The ESS Retribution moved away from Earth orbit, followed by 14 other warships of various sizes. Their dark hulls were built with stealth materials that absorbed light rather than reflected it. Each ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, designed not just for space travel but for war. On the bridge of the Retribution, Admiral Boyd sat in the command chair, watching as her fleet formed up around her. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said her communications officer. Boyd nodded. "Engage FTL drives on my mark." 3, 2, 1, mark. Space twisted around the fleet. The stars blurred and stretched as the ships accelerated to speeds that defied conventional physics. The journey to Proxima Centauri had begun. In the tactical center 2 decks below, Lieutenant Commander Peter Walsh studied everything they knew about the Vorzak. He was younger than most officers of his rank, promoted quickly due to his natural talent for strategy. Some called him brilliant. Others called him reckless. All agreed he was the best tactician in the fleet. Walsh ran simulations based on the limited data they had. The Vorzak ships were reported to have strong frontal shields, but weaker protection on their undersides. They favored direct confrontation, relying on superior firepower rather than maneuverability. Like big, angry beetles, he muttered to himself. Tough shell, predictable movements. He was interrupted by Dr. Olivia Morris, who entered carrying medical reports. "Planning how to kill them already?" she asked. Walsh looked up. "That's my job." Dr. Morris was one of the few people who spoke to Walsh as an equal rather than with the caution most showed around him. She had been with the 7th Fleet for 12 years, longer than anyone except Admiral Boyd. "My job is to save lives," she said. "I've been going through the colony manifest. 300 people, including 62 children." Walsh's face softened slightly. "We'll get them out, Doctor. If they're still alive." She handed him a tablet. "These are the medical supplies I've prepared. We need to assume malnutrition, possible torture, trauma." Walsh nodded, uncomfortable with this aspect of the mission. He preferred to focus on the enemy, not the victims. It was cleaner that way. Throughout the fleet, preparations continued. Marine Captain Don Turner drilled his troops daily in the Retribution's large training bay. They practiced in powered armor suits that enhanced their strength and speed. Each Marine could lift a small car, run faster than an Olympic sprinter, and survive in almost any environment. "The Vorzak have never fought humans," Turner told his troops. "Let's make sure they never want to again." In engineering, Chief Engineer Gary Wong monitored the experimental FTL drives. The technology was new and not entirely stable. Twice during the journey, he had to make adjustments to prevent a catastrophic failure that would have left the fleet stranded in deep space. How much longer can these drives hold? Admiral Boyd asked during her daily inspection. Wong wiped sweat from his brow. 2 more weeks, Admiral. No more. That's all we need, she assured him. As the days passed, the crew settled into their routines. But beneath the calm efficiency, tension grew. No Earth fleet had ever traveled so far from home. No human military force had ever deliberately sought conflict with an alien species. At night, off-duty crew gathered in the mess hall to share stories and fears. Some had family members who had moved to outer colonies. Others simply believed in the mission. "My sister wanted to join that colony," said a young engineer named Diane Lee. "She was rejected because she wasn't a scientist. She'd be there now if they'd taken her." "Lucky for her," someone else said. Admiral Boyd sometimes walked among them, listening but rarely speaking. She understood their fears. This mission could change everything. Earth's isolation policy, its standing among other species, its future. On the 17th day of their journey, Lieutenant Commander Walsh sought out the Admiral in her private quarters. "I've finished my analysis," he said. "If the Vorzak follow their usual patterns, we can beat them, even if they outnumber us." Admiral Boyd studied his plan and nodded slowly. "Get some rest, Commander," she said. "In 4 days, we make history." Life in the New Dawn colony had changed beyond recognition. What was once a thriving research settlement now resembled a prison camp. Tall metal fences surrounded the main buildings. Vorzak guards patrolled day and night, their insect-like bodies moving with mechanical precision. Kyle Bennett watched from the shadows of a damaged laboratory building. Once the colony's assistant security officer, He now led what little resistance remained. 4 years of Vorzek occupation had whittled their numbers down to just 12. "They're moving another group to the mines," whispered Amy Parker, crouching beside him. Before the invasion, she had been a botanist. Now she used her knowledge of plants to develop poisons that could affect Vorzek physiology. Bennett nodded grimly. The Vorzek had discovered rich mineral deposits beneath the colony and forced the humans to extract them. Many colonists had died in those mines from exhaustion or accidents. "How's the new toxin coming?" he asked. Amy held up a small vial of clear liquid. "It works on their respiratory system. It won't kill them, but it will slow them down." It wasn't much, but it was all they had. Their weapons had been confiscated long ago. Their best tools were knowledge and patience. On the other side of the colony, Frank Martinez sat in a small cell. The young communications specialist had been kept separate from the other colonists. Commander Jetkra believed he had special knowledge about Earth's defenses. The door slid open, and 2 Vorzek guards entered. They pulled Martinez to his feet and dragged him to the interrogation room where Jetkra waited. "Tell me about Earth's military capabilities," the Vorzek commander demanded, as he had countless times before. Martinez gave the same answer he always did. "We're peaceful researchers. I don't know anything about military matters." It was partially true. He had basic knowledge about Earth's defense systems, but nothing detailed. Still, he would never share even that limited information. Jetkra clicked his mandibles in frustration. "You lie. Our scouts report significant military activity in your solar system. Warships, weapons platforms." Martinez tried not to show his surprise. The Vorzek had scouts watching Earth. That was new information. "Maybe they're preparing for something," he said, unable to resist giving the commander something to worry about. Jetkra struck him across the face. "Your Earth is too far away to help you. By the time they learn of your fate, we will be too entrenched to remove." In the labor camp, Governor Richard Hayes helped an elderly scientist to his feet. They had just finished a 12-hour shift in the processing plant where extracted minerals were refined. "Don't give up, Paul," Hayes said to the man. "We need to stay strong." Security Chief Melissa Clark joined them, her once crisp uniform now reduced to dirty rags. 3 more people collapsed in the eastern mine today. The guards took them away. They didn't come back. Hayes closed his eyes briefly. Each loss hit him personally. These people had followed him here, trusted his leadership. Now they were dying one by one. "Any word from Kyle?" he asked quietly. Clark shook her head. "Nothing for 3 days." Their resistance efforts had to remain small and careful. After the first year, when a large uprising had been brutally crushed, they learned to be more strategic. Quiet sabotage, small delays. Anything to frustrate the Vorzek without provoking another massacre. As night fell, the colonists were herded into crowded barracks. Food was distributed, a bland protein paste that provided just enough nutrition to keep them working. Amy Parker sat next to a young girl named Lucy, who had been just 6 when the Vorzek arrived. Now 10, she had spent nearly half her life under alien occupation. "Tell me about Earth again," Lucy asked. "What was it like?" Amy smiled sadly. "It was beautiful. Blue skies, green trees, cities full of people, and the oceans, huge expanses of water that went on forever." "Do you think anyone there remembers us?" Lucy asked. Amy put her arm around the child. "I'm sure they do, and maybe someday it'll come for us." But after 4 years of captivity, even Amy found it hard to believe her own words. At the edge of the Proxima Centauri system, space rippled and tore open. The ESS Retribution emerged first, followed by the rest of the 7th Fleet. Their arrival was silent, without the flash and thunder that old science fiction movies had imagined. In space, even the most momentous events happened in eerie quiet. "All ships present and accounted for," reported the tactical officer. "No damage from the jump." Admiral Boyd stood from her command chair. "Engage stealth systems. I want us invisible until we're ready to reveal ourselves. The fleet's special coating absorbed radar signals and deflected light. Unless someone was looking directly at them through a window, they would remain undetected. Launch scout ships, Boyd ordered. I want detailed scans of their defenses. Lieutenant Lisa Warren led the scout mission. Her ship was smaller than the rest, designed for speed and stealth rather than combat. As they approached the planet, she activated the most sensitive scanning equipment ever built by human hands. I'm picking up 5 Vorsic warships in orbit, she reported back to the fleet, plus orbital weapons platforms. Ground installations include 3 major bases and what looks like mining operations. Admiral Boyd turned to Lieutenant Commander Walsh. Your assessment. Walsh studied the data with narrowed eyes. Their ships are positioned to defend against threats coming from deeper space. They're not expecting anyone from this direction. Their orbital weapons are standard, powerful, but slow to target. We can exploit that. On the planet below, Kyle Bennett was checking a makeshift communication device when it picked up an unusual signal. At first, he thought it was just cosmic noise, the kind that occasionally interfered with Vorsic communications. But then he noticed a pattern. The signal was too regular to be random, too complex to be natural. Someone was out there, using advanced encryption. His heart raced. Could it be? After all this time, he found Amy Parker working in her hidden garden, where she grew the plants for her toxins. I think help might have arrived, he whispered, hardly daring to believe it himself. Amy stared at him. From Earth. After 4 years. Bennett nodded. I picked up signals. Military-grade encryption. It has to be from Earth. For the first time in years, a spark of real hope lit up Amy's tired eyes. Aboard the Retribution, Admiral Boyd met with her command team to finalize their strategy. We'll attack in 3 coordinated waves, she explained, pointing to the holographic display of the Proxima Centauri system. First, we take out their orbital defenses. Then we land Marines to secure the colony and rescue our people. Finally, we deal with any reinforcements they might call in. Captain Don Turner, who would lead the ground assault, studied the colony layout. We need to contact any resistance on the ground. They could provide crucial intelligence. Already working on it, said Communications Officer Paul Winters. We're sending encrypted messages on old Earth frequencies. If anyone down there is listening, they'll hear us. Dr. Morris raised a concern. The colonists may be in poor health. We need to be prepared for immediate medical evacuation. Admiral Boyd took in all their input. She had led the 7th Fleet through many battles, but never one with such high stakes. 300 human lives hung in the balance. Let's be clear about our objectives, she said firmly. First, rescue the colonists. Second, secure this system for Earth. Third, make sure the Vorsic never threaten humans again. She walked to the main viewport and looked out at the distant star that was Proxima Centauri and the small planet that orbited it. The Vorsic believe they can take whatever they want without consequences, she continued. They believe distance protects them from Earth's reach. They're about to learn how wrong they are. She turned back to her officers, her face set with determination. We have traveled farther than any human military force in history. We did not come all this way to fail. Prepare your teams. In 6 hours, we reveal ourselves to the enemy. As the meeting ended, Lieutenant Commander Walsh approached the Admiral. Permission to speak freely, sir. Boyd nodded. The Vorsic don't know what's coming, Walsh said with a cold smile. They have no idea what humans are capable of when our people are threatened. Admiral Boyd's expression was equally grim. Then let's show them. The Vorsic Command Center orbited Proxima Centauri in a large station shaped like a flat disk. Commander Jetkra stood before a window, watching his ships patrol the space around the colony. 4 years of successful occupation had made him confident, perhaps too confident. A junior officer approached nervously. Commander, we detected an unusual energy spike at the edge of the system 6 hours ago. A natural phenomenon. Jetkra dismissed without turning around. Yes, Commander, But our long-range scanners are also picking up small anomalies, areas where stars seem to disappear briefly. This caught Jetkra's attention. Explain. It could be nothing, the officer said quickly. Or it could be. An alarm blared through the command center. On the main screen, 15 ships appeared where empty space had been moments before. They had seemingly materialized from nowhere, arranged in a perfect attack formation. Jetkra's compound eyes widened. Impossible. The communications officer called out, "We're receiving a transmission from the largest vessel." Admiral Boyd's face appeared on the Vorzek command screen. Her expression was calm but utterly without mercy. "This is Admiral Susan Boyd of Earth's 7th Fleet. You have invaded a human colony and imprisoned our people. You have 30 minutes to surrender and withdraw from this system. After that, we will remove you by force." The transmission ended, leaving the Vorzek command center in stunned silence. Jetkra recovered quickly. "They bluff. Prepare all ships for battle. Alert the ground forces to secure the humans as hostages." On the bridge of the EFS Retribution, Admiral Boyd checked her watch. 29 minutes remaining. Launch fighters. Small, agile ships shot from the larger vessels, forming a protective screen around the fleet. Each fighter was piloted by a highly trained human who had spent years mastering space combat. Lieutenant Commander Walsh monitored the Vorzek response. They're moving their ships into defensive positions. 5 vessels, forming a standard protection grid. Boyd nodded. "Just as you predicted. Proceed with Operation Hammer and Anvil." 7 Earth ships, including the Retribution, began moving toward the Vorzek fleet head-on. The other 8 curved away, using the planet's gravity to slingshot around to the far side. In the colony below, alarms sounded. Vorzek soldiers rushed to secure key areas. Commander Jetkra's orders had been clear: use the humans as shields if necessary. Kyle Bennett saw his chance in the sudden chaos. "The Vorzek are panicking," he told his resistance fighters. "Something's happening in orbit." Amy Parker distributed her toxins. "This is what we've been waiting for." On the Vorzek command station, Jetkra watched the approaching Earth vessels with growing concern. They were larger than his ships, with strange weapon systems he didn't recognize. "They're just researchers," he told his officers. "Their military is primitive compared to ours." But doubt had crept into his voice. As the 30-minute deadline approached, Walsh turned to Admiral Boyd. "They're not withdrawing. They're reinforcing their positions." Boyd had expected this. The Vorzek had a reputation for arrogance. "Very well. All ships, weapons free. Begin the attack." The space around Proxima Centauri erupted with energy as the 7th Fleet opened fire. The Vorzek ships responded immediately, but they were caught unprepared for the sheer power of Earth's weapons. The first Vorzek vessel exploded within minutes, its shields collapsing under concentrated fire from 3 Earth ships. A second tried to retreat, only to find itself trapped between the main fleet in front and the 8 ships that had swung around behind. Walsh's trap was working perfectly. "The Vorzek are caught in the crossfire," he reported with grim satisfaction. In the colony, Frank Martinez heard the distant sounds of explosions in the sky. His Vorzek guards were distracted, listening to frantic communications. "What's happening?" Martinez asked, though he already suspected the answer. The guard snarled at him. Silence, human. But Martinez saw fear in those alien eyes, the same fear he had seen in human eyes 4 years ago when the Vorzek arrived. Now the tables had turned. In orbit, Jetkra watched in horror as a 3rd Vorzek ship broke apart under Earth's assault. "Impossible," he whispered. "How can they be so powerful?" The answer came to him too late. The humans hadn't been hiding on their home planet out of fear or weakness. They had been hiding their strength. Until now. As the space battle raged above, Captain Don Turner led his Marine forces toward the planet's surface. 20 dropships, each carrying 15 soldiers in powered armor, descended through the atmosphere. The ships were built to be fast and hard to hit, moving in unpredictable patterns. All units, prepare for landing, Turner called over the comm system. Remember your training. The colonists are our priority. On the ground, Vorzek troops rushed to defensive positions. They had never expected an attack from space. Their weapons pointed upward, tracking the incoming human ships. Kyle Bennett watched from his hiding place as the Vorzek scrambled to respond. He keyed his makeshift radio to the frequency he had detected earlier. "This is Kyle Bennett, Colony Security. If anyone from Earth can hear me, the Vorzek are moving colonists to the central compound. They're using them as shields." In the lead dropship, Turner received the transmission. "Copy that, Bennett. Can you give us more details on their positions?" Bennett felt a surge of emotion at hearing another human voice, a soldier's voice. "They have guard posts at these coordinates," he said, listing the locations. "Their weapons are designed for suppression, not heavy combat. And we have something that might help you." Amy Parker joined him at the radio. "We've developed a toxin that affects their respiratory system. It won't kill them, but it will slow them down." Turner relayed this information to Admiral Boyd, who was coordinating the attack from orbit. The space battle was going well. 4 of the 5 Vorzek ships were destroyed or disabled. The last one was retreating toward the edge of the system. "Good work, Captain," Boyd responded. "Get that toxin and distribute it to your troops, and find Governor Hayes." The dropships landed in a wide circle around the colony. The moment the doors opened, human soldiers in powered armor rushed out. Their suits made them nearly 7 feet tall, with enhanced strength and built-in weapon systems. Vorzek troops fired at them, but most of their shots bounced off the advanced armor. The Marines returned fire with deadly precision. In the detention center, Frank Martinez heard the sounds of battle growing closer. His cell door suddenly slid open. A Vorzek guard stood there, weapon trained on him. "You're coming with me," the guard said. "Commander Jetkra wants all high-value prisoners." Martinez was taken to a large room where other important colonists were being held, including Governor Hayes and Security Chief Clark. Vorzek soldiers surrounded them, using them as a barrier between themselves and the attacking humans. Commander Jetkra paced in front of them, his normally confident demeanor shattered by the turn of events. "Your people will not fire on you," he told the colonists. "That gives me the advantage." Hayes looked at him with quiet defiance. "You don't understand humans at all, do you? They came across light years to save us. Do you really think a few hostages will stop them now?" Outside, Kyle Bennett led Amy Parker through underground maintenance tunnels to meet with the Earth Marines. They emerged near a landing site where Captain Turner was directing his troops. Bennett stared in awe at the armored soldiers. Earth had changed in the years they'd been gone. These were not the peacekeepers he remembered from his training days. These were warriors. Turner approached them. "Bennett, Parker, I'm Captain Turner, Earth Marine Corps." Amy handed him a container of her toxin. "This can be aerosolized. It targets their breathing systems." Turner nodded and passed it to his team's science officer. Within minutes, they had loaded the toxin into special grenades and distributed them to the Marines. "We've located the main hostage area," Turner told Bennett. "But we need a way in that won't trigger an immediate execution of prisoners." Martinez, watching the Vorzek guards from his position with the other hostages, noticed they were becoming increasingly agitated. Their communications were filled with reports of Earth soldiers breaking through their defenses. He caught Hayes' eye and nodded slightly toward the main control panel. Hayes understood immediately. Years ago, he had installed emergency protocols in the colony systems, including one that could shut down power to specific sections. If they could create a distraction, there might be a chance, but they would need perfect timing and some help from outside. The fate of the colony now hung on what would happen in the next few minutes. In orbit, the battle was coming to an end. The last Vorzek ship tried to escape but found itself pursued by 3 Earth vessels. Its engines flared bright as it attempted to reach FTL speeds. "Target their engines Admiral Boyd commanded from the bridge of the Retribution. "Don't let them call for reinforcements." The Earth ships fired in perfect coordination. The Vorzek vessel shuddered, then exploded in a silent flash that lit up space for a brief moment. "All enemy ships destroyed, Admiral," reported the tactical officer. Boyd nodded. "Now for the ground battle. Bring us into low orbit over the colony." The massive form of the Retribution descended toward the planet, casting a shadow over the Vorzek command center. The sight of it alone caused many Vorzek soldiers to abandon their posts and flee. Inside the hostage room, Governor Hayes managed to whisper to Frank Martinez, "When I give the signal, be ready to run to the east exit." Hayes had noticed the lights flicker twice, an old security code he recognized. Kyle Bennett was accessing the colony's systems from somewhere. "Everyone get ready," Hayes whispered to the other colonists. "Help is coming." Commander Jetkra noticed the whispers and stalked over. "Silence. Your Earth friends cannot save you. If they attempt to enter this building, you will all die." Just then, Bennett activated the emergency protocol from a maintenance terminal. The lights went out completely. Emergency alarms blared. The door locks throughout the building reset. In that moment of confusion, Captain Turner and his Marines breached the building from 3 directions. They wore night vision gear and moved with precision through the darkness. At the same time, Amy Parker's toxin was released through the ventilation system. The effect on the Vorzek was immediate. They began coughing and moving sluggishly, their reflexes slowed. "Now," shouted Hayes in the dark. The colonists scattered, making it impossible for the Vorzek to keep track of their hostages. Martinez ran toward where he thought the east exit would be. He collided with a tall, armored figure in the darkness. "Frank Martinez?" asked a voice from the armor. "Yes," Martinez said, his heart pounding. "Captain Don Turner, Earth Marines. Stay behind me." Martinez nearly wept with relief. After 4 years of captivity, humanity had come for them. Throughout the building, Marines were securing colonists and neutralizing Vorzek guards. Their armor made them nearly invincible against the weakened aliens. Commander Jetkra, realizing his plan had failed, tried to escape. He ran down a corridor only to find himself face to face with Kyle Bennett and 2 Marine soldiers. "Remember me?" Bennett asked. Jetkra hissed and raised his weapon. Before he could fire, the Marines shot him. The Vorzek commander fell to the ground, mortally wounded. Outside, Earth dropships landed to evacuate the colonists. Medical teams rushed to treat the injured. Dr. Olivia Morris directed the medical response, prioritizing the children and elderly. 2 hours later, Governor Hayes stood with Admiral Boyd in the colony's main plaza. The fighting was over. All Vorzek forces had been eliminated or had surrendered. "We thought no one was coming," Hayes said, his voice breaking. "After 4 years, we had lost hope." Admiral Boyd looked at the damaged buildings and the weary but jubilant colonists boarding medical ships. "Earth protects its own," she said simply. "We would have come sooner if we had known." Hayes looked up at the Retribution, visible in the sky above them. "I didn't know Earth had such powerful ships." "There's a lot the galaxy doesn't know about us," Boyd replied. "We prefer it that way." News of the battle spread quickly across alien communication networks. The footage of Earth's 7th Fleet destroying the Vorzek forces became the most watched recording in decades. In distant worlds, military strategists revised their assessments of human capabilities. Diplomatic envoys were hastily dispatched to Earth. 6 weeks later, the survivors of New Dawn Colony returned to Earth for the first time in years. They told their story to an attentive world. And across the galaxy, a new understanding emerged. Humans might be peaceful by choice, but when provoked, when their people were threatened, they would cross the stars themselves to exact justice. The message was clear: do not threaten humans. They will come for their own, no matter how far, no matter how long it takes. And when they come, they bring the storm with them.